Hell's Angels showed up at my doorstep, and they weren't here for a chat. They came to take my wife. Little did they know, I wasn't just some retired homeowner. They had just walked into the wrong war. And the person who sent them? The HOA president, smiling in her polo like she owned the neighborhood. By the time I was done, every rule, every threat, every twisted little plan they had would be exposed and paid for. I moved to Falcon Ridge because I wanted silence. Not peace, silence. The kind where you can hear your own heartbeat and your own thoughts arguing with each other. My job prepared me for that. After 2 decades as a U.S. Marshal, I needed quiet so badly the idea of living next to retired accountants and potluck enthusiasts actually sounded therapeutic. For 6 months, it was perfect. My wife, Lisa, baked bread like we were in a Hallmark movie. I grilled steaks every Sunday like a dad in a Home Depot commercial. We even had a neighbor who waved so violently, I'm convinced he sprained his rotator cuff. Life was good. Then Karen happened. Her real name wasn't Karen. Close though. Carla Hastings. HOA president. Short hair. Power trip smile. One of those people who looks like she irons her jeans and writes Yelp reviews about playground etiquette. Before we start, comment which beautiful country you tuned in from. I'd love to know. Don't forget to like and subscribe so we can take HOA down in America. So here's how this circus started. She showed up at my house holding a clipboard like it was a weapon. Mr. Walsh, she chirped, just touching base about a few community concerns. That tone, that fake sweet voice, the kind that makes you want to flip a table. What concerns? I asked. She pointed at the small plastic flamingo my wife had stuck in the flower bed ironically. Ironically, Lisa put it there as a joke. It was wearing sunglasses and holding a margarita. Turns out the HOA had no sense of humor. This creature, Carla said, like it was a felony, is out of compliance. Then she gave me a violation slip for unapproved lawn decor. I laughed. Out loud. Wrong move. Her smile tightened like someone pulled fishing line through her cheeks. Of course, I thought it was over. Just the usual HOA clownery. I had no idea she was planning something 1,000 times worse. The escalation was slow at first, like she wanted to test how far she could push. Trash been visible for 6 minutes? Warning. Garage door left open while I unloaded groceries? Fine. Mailbox paint slightly faded? Threat of board review. Lisa tried to ignore it. She's soft-spoken, patient, the exact opposite of me. She'd leave homemade lemon bars for neighbors and apologize when people bumped into her. But the day we got our 3rd violation for inconsistent grass height variance, I saw something in her face I'd never seen before. Fear. And not fear of fines, fear of targeting. You spend long enough hunting dangerous men, you learn to recognize fear. I pulled Carla aside during her morning dictatorship patrol. You got a problem with me? I said quietly. Her eyes drifted past me toward Lisa, who was watering the hydrangeas. No, she said, smiling. Not you. That smile chilled me. It wasn't a warning. It was a promise. 3 nights later, I heard the sound. A low rumble. A motorcycle engine. Slow. Predatory. Rolling past the house at 2:17 a.m. The kind of sound that says we're not here for the scenery. I checked the camera feed. 1 bike. No plates. Leather cut with a patch I recognized instantly. Hell's Angels. Not the friendly chapter either. This was one of the California groups. I'd crossed paths with them years ago on a manhunt. Long story short, 2 of their guys didn't appreciate me bringing their buddy into custody, and I didn't appreciate them trying to stab me with a tire iron. Old history. Ugly history. Why were they in my neighborhood? Lisa noticed my stare. You okay? She whispered. Yeah, I lied. Because here's another breadcrumb you won't understand yet. The bikers weren't scouting me. Not at first. They were scouting her. The next morning, Lisa's car was keyed. Stay in line carved into the door. No one saw anything. The HOA security cameras were mysteriously down for maintenance. Carla left a letter on our porch saying, when residents resist community guidelines, consequences escalate. Who talks like that? Dictators? Cult leaders? Psychopaths? Try. All 3. And still, I had no idea what she was planning. Not until I got home one afternoon to find the front door wide open. Groceries on the floor. Her favorite mug shattered. A trail of dirt. A boot print. And Lisa, gone. Just gone. No note. No ransom. Just a single leather glove on the counter. A biker glove. Middle finger sliced clean off. Not a warning. A signature. And I knew exactly whose. The problem was, he was supposed to be dead. That's when I finally snapped back into the Marshal I used to be. Carla thought she understood intimidation. The Hells Angels thought they understood violence. Neither of them had ever met me without my leash on. I didn't sleep that night. Not because I was scared, but because I couldn't figure out why an HOA, a neighborhood committee whose biggest job is telling people their grass is too tall, was willing to unleash the Hells Angels on a married couple over a stupid fence. The sun wasn't even up when I grabbed my coffee, stepped onto the porch, and saw it. A dead crow, right on my welcome mat. Neck twisted, wings spread, like someone placed it there gently, intentionally. A message. My wife, still half asleep, walked behind me. Another HOA complaint? She joked. I didn't answer, because sitting on top of the crow was a folded paper stabbed into the wood with a hunting knife. On the paper was a symbol I knew too well, a skull with wings. Hells Angels. My stomach tightened. I hadn't seen that mark since my undercover days. She stepped closer. What is that? Nothing you need to worry about, I said, kicking the bird away with my boot and pocketing the note. But she wasn't stupid. Not even close. Don't lie to me, she whispered. You've been on edge since the meeting. I forced a smile. Just HOA nonsense. But the truth was boiling inside me. They weren't threatening me. They were threatening her. And that flipped a switch in my head that I hoped I'd never have to touch again. The first move. I went straight to the garage, unlocked a steel case I promised myself I'd never open again. Inside it, my old U.S. Marshal badge, a Glock 40, a backup SIG, my encrypted burner phone, a flash drive full of old contacts, bikers, informants, snitches, criminals I once put away, and my original undercover ledger. I stared at it all for a long minute. I had hung up this life, buried it, tried to become a normal husband with a backyard and a grill and a quiet street. But they dragged me back. I grabbed the burner phone, powered it up, and waited for the encrypted network to load. One new message, from a number I hadn't seen in 5 years. A message that made my blood run cold. You pissed off the wrong HOA, Marshal. Someone paid for a pickup. Keep the wife close. Someone knew. Someone recognized me. Someone had put a hit order into a biker network for my wife. That narrowed the suspects down to 3 people in the HOA. Gary, the HOA president, twitchy, angry, hiding something. Linda, the treasurer, obsessed with controlling everyone. Mark, the guy who kept using the term neighborhood order like he was running a dictatorship. But only one of them had the money and motivation to hire bikers. My wife learns the truth. By noon, I couldn't hide it anymore. She cornered me in the kitchen. You're pacing. Your jaw keeps locking. You're checking the windows every 5 minutes. What is going on? I took a breath. Then another. Then I finally told her the truth I avoided telling for our entire marriage. I wasn't just a federal officer, I said quietly. I was deep undercover with outlaw motorcycle gangs. The Hells Angels in particular. Her eyes widened. She didn't breathe. I was part of operations that put away some major people. And some of them, don't forget, don't forgive. Silence. Heavy. Sharp. She whispered. So they're coming because of your past? No, I said. Because the HOA paid them. She blinked like the words didn't make sense. The HOA hired the Hells Angels. HOAs are small on paper, I said. But the wrong person in charge, with money, with ego, with connections, can turn it into a criminal empire with a legal disguise. But why would they want to kidnap me? Kidnap. She said it softly, but the word cracked something inside me. I don't know yet, I said. But I'm going to find out. The man on the motorcycle. Late afternoon. Quiet street. Kids playing. Sprinklers running. Normal American suburb. Except for the man leaning on a black Harley at the end of the block. Leathers. Cuts. Sunglasses. Tattooed neck. He wasn't hiding. Wasn't pretending. He wanted me to see him. I walked down the driveway. Slow. Calm. Controlled. He smirked. Marshal, he said, like greeting an old friend. Long time. My fists clenched. It wasn't a stranger. It was Axel, one of the bikers from an op I ran 8 years ago. He wasn't just a grunt. He was a recruiter. A hunter. What do you want? I asked. He nodded toward my house. Not me, brother. I'm just the messenger. He flicked a card toward me, landing at my feet. A business card. HOA president. Gary Holloway. On the back, written in sloppy pen ink. Tonight. The biker fired up the engine, revved once, and said, Tell your wife to dress warm. Then he rode off. The wheel is turning. I stared at the smoke trail from his exhaust. My heartbeat wasn't going up. It was slowing down. Like an old instinct was waking up. I picked up the card, crushed it in my fist, and whispered to myself, "Okay, Gary, you want a war? You're gonna get one." Tonight, they were coming. But they had no idea who they were walking into. I didn't tell my wife what tonight meant. Not because I wanted to keep her in the dark, but because fear makes people unpredictable. I needed her steady. I needed her thinking. I needed her safe. And I couldn't risk her panicking. At sunset, I locked every door, shut every curtain, and moved furniture without explanation. "You're making me nervous," she whispered. "I need you to trust me," I said. "Stay in the bedroom. Don't come out until I call for you." She nodded slowly, but her eyes said she already knew the truth. Something very bad was coming. Preparing the house. I went to work. Not with panic. With precision. Old training sliding back into place like muscle memory. Living room. Lights off. Windows slightly cracked for sound. Furniture angled to create blind corners I could use. Kitchen. Knife block moved. One blade hidden in every reachable spot. Hallway. Mirror placed at an angle so I could see around the corner without exposing myself. Front door. Deadbolt locked. Reinforced bar set. Tripwire placed on the inside to alert me. Back door. Unlocked deliberately. If they were coming, they wouldn't try the front. They'd try to be smart. Smart men die first. The first sound. It started at 11:42 p.m. A low rumble. Not loud. Not obvious. But deep enough to vibrate the glass on the picture frames. Motorcycles. At least 5. Maybe 7. I turned off my phone's flashlight and stood perfectly still in the dark living room, eyes on the backyard. The rumble died. Engines shut off. Then footsteps. Multiple. My pulse didn't rise. It stayed cold, slow, calculating. I counted the shadows moving against the fence outside. 1, 2, 3. Pause. For more? 7 total. Exactly what I expected. Kickstart. The back gate latch clicked. Quiet. Sneaky. Well practiced. They'd done this before. A voice whispered, inside. Fast. Grab the girl. Girl. Not woman. Not wife. They were dehumanizing her. That alone lit something violent in my chest. The back door creaked open. Then I moved. First contact. The first biker through the door wore a skull mask and carried a steel baton. He didn't even see me. I stepped out of the shadow and hit him with a forearm to the throat. Silent, clean, grabbed his wrist, twisted, and slammed his head into the kitchen counter. He dropped without a sound. The second guy saw the fall and rushed in with a knife. Big mistake. I sidestepped, grabbed his arm, and used his momentum to flip him over the table. He landed with a crack. Bone, not wood. Before he could scream, I put him out. 2 down. 5 outside. They were still whispering, unaware the first 2 were gone. The blackout. Someone muttered. Lights off. Good. Husband's asleep. Yeah, sure. I reached down, unclipped the breakers I loosened earlier, and killed the remaining electricity. The entire house dropped into a pitch-black abyss. Hey, what the? One whispered. Another said, flashlights. That gave away their positions. For beams flicked on outside, scanning the windows. The 5th flashlight was too close, right outside the kitchen. He stepped inside. I let him take 2 steps. Then I smashed the flashlight out of his hand, grabbed his vest collar, and dragged him inside. He swung wild, sloppy, panicked. I blocked twice, then drove my knee into his ribcage. He collapsed, gasping. I finished it quick. 3 down. For left. The distraction. Outside, someone noticed. Where's the others? Inside already. Then why aren't they answering? A pause. Heavy. Realization sinking in. Then the leader's voice, the one I recognized. Axel. He stepped into the backyard, his silhouette huge against the porch light. Marshal, he called softly. You home? I didn't answer. He laughed. Man, Gary didn't lie. You're still a ghost. My teeth clenched. He wasn't scared. He was enjoying this. Bring her out, he said, voice dark. We ain't leaving without the wife. Every muscle in my body coiled. They weren't taking her. Not alive. Not breathing. Not in any universe. The flashbang that wasn't. Axel signaled his men. 2 more bikers rushed the back door, both armed, both heavy, both overconfident. They lobbed something inside. A flashbang. Except, it was one of mine. It was a decoy, hollowed, gutted, filled with coins instead of powder. I threw it right back at their feet. Flash, one yelled instinctively. Both flinched, covered their faces. I used that second to sprint out, low, silent, and hit the first with a shoulder tackle that knocked him into the fence. The second swung a chain, but I ducked and punched him across the temple. For down. Only one left now. Axel. The face OFF. He stood alone in the yard, arms crossed, grinning like this was a bar fight. 8 years, Marshal, he said. 8 years since you wrecked our deal. You know how many brothers want a piece of you. I said nothing. He cracked his neck. Gary paid good money for your wife. Real good. My blood felt like fire. And I'm gonna collect, he added. I stepped forward. Slow. Deliberate. You made one mistake, I said. He smirked. What's that? You came to my house. Then I rushed him. The unfinished fight. He was fast. Faster than I remembered. He blocked my first punch, countered with an elbow, and clipped my jaw. Pain flashed white, but I pushed through. We exchanged blows. Hard ones. Ugly ones. He got me in a chokehold for half a second. I slammed my head back and broke his nose. He roared and tackled me into the grass. We rolled, grappled, crushed dirt, traded shots. Then, a scream. From inside the house. My wife. Someone else was inside. Someone I hadn't counted. Axel grinned through blood. Too late, he whispered. My heart dropped. The fight wasn't over. It had just begun. My wife's scream froze my blood. That split second, that half breath where your body forgets how to move. That's the moment these guys wait for. Axel saw it. He swung. His fist cracked across my jaw and sent me stumbling back. He bolted toward the house, wiping blood from his broken nose, shouting, "We got the wife. Move." I sprinted after him, but 2 of his half-conscious men grabbed at my ankles, slowing me by seconds. But seconds matter in a kidnapping. By the time I ripped free and reached the kitchen door, she was gone. The bedroom was empty. The closet empty. Bathroom empty. Window open. Curtain swaying. And outside, on the driveway, the sound of a van door slamming shut. My heart pounded so hard I could barely hear. I ran to the front window just in time to see a white contractor van. No plates. One headlight busted. Peeling HOA sticker on the windshield. And inside, through the back window, the silhouette of a woman struggling under someone's arm. My wife. No. 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 I kicked the door open so hard the frame cracked, sprinted barefoot onto the asphalt as the van fired up and roared down the street, tires screaming. I chased it until my legs burned, shouting her name. It didn't matter. The van disappeared into the dark, and all that was left was silence. The rage I haven't felt in years. I didn't cry. I didn't break down. I felt something deeper. Something older. The version of me I buried when I quit the Marshals. It came back like a tidal wave. A hunter. A tracker. A man who once spent months living among killers without ever blinking. She wasn't gone. She was taken. And taken means findable. I walked back to the house, fists shaking, vision tunneling. One question pounding in my skull. Who inside the HOA opened that window? Because someone did. I didn't leave it unlocked. I didn't leave it unbarred. Somebody helped them. Somebody inside my neighborhood. Inside my street. Inside my home. The first clue. Back in the yard, Axel was still on the ground, trying to crawl away, leaving a trail of blood. I grabbed him by the back of the neck and slammed him against the fence. Where is she? I roared. He coughed blood, smirking through broken teeth. You'll never find her, Marshal. Whole neighborhood's in on it. I tightened my grip. What neighborhood? He spat blood onto my shoe. Yours. I dragged him upright. Tell me where they took her. He laughed, actually laughed. That's the fun part, he said. Even we don't know. Gary handles the drop-offs. Gary, the HOA president. I slammed Axel's head backward into the fence post. He dropped instantly, still breathing, but out cold. Good. I wasn't done with him. The neighbor, who was watching. As I stood over Axel's limp body, a porch light flicked on across the street. A neighbor, glasses, robe, slippers, peeked out. His voice shaky. Everything. Okay over there. I stared at him. Blankly. Coldly. Deadly still. He swallowed hard. Did you, hear a scream? I stepped toward him. He stepped back. Too fast. Too guilty. You saw something, I said. And no, I just. Who opened my window? His throat tightened. I saw the panic in his eyes. He knew something. Look, he whispered, shaking. I didn't do anything. I swear. The HOA said there was a safety inspection tonight. My blood froze. Who told you that? Gary, he said. He said he'd fine us if we didn't let his people check the backyards. That son of a safety inspection was the cover. That's how they entered the yards. That's how they moved around without looking suspicious. Who else knew? I asked. He hesitated. Everyone, he said softly. Whole board. The marked house. I walked back inside, scanned the rooms, checked every window. Then I saw something I missed in the chaos. A small white chalk mark above the back door frame. A symbol. A simple X. Left by a tracker. A tag. A message for the bikers that this was the house with the target. They didn't pick homes randomly. They tagged ours earlier in the day. They had been planning this for longer than I thought. And then, as I stared at that chalk X, something clicked. This wasn't about a fence. This wasn't about a violation. This wasn't even about my undercover past. This HOA was running something bigger. Something organized. Something criminal. Something they needed my wife for. And they weren't just kidnapping her. They were moving her. If they moved her, that meant there was a location. There was a handoff. There was a buyer. And I was going to find all of them. The call that changed everything. My burner phone vibrated. Unknown number. Encrypted line. I answered. A distorted male voice said, "You want your wife back?" I clenched my teeth. "Where is she?" "You'll get instructions. But first." He paused, and then said something that nearly knocked me off my feet. "Gary isn't working alone. He's working for someone you knew from the Marshals." My stomach dropped. The voice continued. "Someone who wants revenge. Someone who wants you." My throat tightened. No, it couldn't be him. Not him. Not after all these years. The voice whispered, "You know his name." And the line went dead. I stood there in my dark kitchen, fists trembling, breathing like a bull. My wife was gone. My HOA was corrupted. The bikers weren't even the real enemy. The real enemy was someone from my past. I dragged Axel into the garage and zip-tied him to a steel support beam. He regained consciousness with a choke, dripping blood down his beard. He blinked up at me, saw my face, and swallowed like a man who finally understands he's prey. "You're gonna kill me," he whispered. "Not yet," I said. His eyes darted around, searching for an exit, a weapon, anything. Nothing. Just me. And he knew he wasn't getting out of that garage unless I let him. Which I wouldn't. Not until I got everything. The interrogation. I crouched in front of him, calm, knees steady. "Who took my wife?" Axel coughed. "I told you, man." I didn't. I grabbed his jaw, squeezed hard enough to make his eyes water. "Name." He exhaled shakily. "Gary hired us." "That's the truth." "No," I said. "Gary doesn't have the brains to coordinate 7 bikers, 3 vans, and a window breach timed down to the second." Axel stared at me, breathing heavy. "Who's backing him?" His gaze dropped. And that told me the answer before he said it. Someone high. Someone dangerous. Someone he feared more than me. "You already know who," Axel said quietly. I leaned in closer. "Say the name." He clenched his jaw, then forced it out. "Dawson." Everything inside me went still. "No. Impossible." "Marshal Andrew Dawson?" I said. Axel nodded. My pulse started pounding in my ears. Dawson wasn't just a marshal. He was my partner, my mentor, my closest friend. Until the day he died. Except he didn't. Not really. The last time I saw Dawson was 8 years ago, bleeding out after an ambush gone bad. He told me to run. Told me he'd hold them off. His body was never recovered. I spent years blaming myself. Axel watched my reaction and smirked bitterly. "Yeah," he said. "Your buddy's alive. And he's the one who paid for your wife." The why. I forced myself to breathe. Focus. "Why her?" I asked. "Why not come for me directly?" Axel licked his cracked lips. "Dawson told Gary you'd never come out of retirement unless something valuable was taken." My hands tightened into fists. "He knew you wouldn't care about your job, your house, but your wife." He smirked. "That would make you burn the world." He wasn't wrong. And Dawson knew that. "Killing you isn't enough," Axel continued. "He wants you ruined first." I stood, pacing. My old partner. The man who trained me. The man who saved my life more than once. He was behind all of this. Why? Axel seemed to read my face. "Dawson said you betrayed him. Said you left him to die in that warehouse." My vision blurred with anger. "I didn't," I snapped. "He ordered me to run." Axel shrugged. "Doesn't matter what happened. He believes what he believes. And he wants you to feel what he felt." I exhaled slowly. This wasn't a normal case. This wasn't a kidnapping. This was revenge. Personal. Calculated. Dawson wasn't just alive. He was orchestrating everything. And he had my wife. The location. I grabbed Axel's hair and yanked his head back. Where is she now? He winced, teeth gritted. Dawson doesn't tell us the final site. He moves people constantly. I slammed him against the beam. Then give me the first location. His voice cracked. There's a farmhouse. Abandoned. 20 minutes north. Off County Road 6. I leaned closer. Is she there? Not anymore, he croaked. But it's the first holding point. You might find something. I let go of him. He gasped in relief. Is it guarded? I asked. He hesitated. That depends. Depends on what? Whether Dawson thinks you found us yet. I grabbed my keys. I knew Dawson. He always planned 3 steps ahead. He knew I'd kill the bikers. He knew I'd interrogate Axel. He knew I'd find the farmhouse. Which meant the farmhouse wouldn't be a hiding place. It would be a trap. But a trap meant clues. And clues meant a trail. And a trail meant I could still reach her. The final question. Before I left, I turned back to Axel. One more question, I said. He looked exhausted, beaten, afraid. What does Dawson want with my wife? Axel's lips trembled. His eyes lowered. Not to hurt her, he said softly. That stunned me. Then what? Axel swallowed hard. He wants her alive. He wants her untouched. He wants her kept. Kept for what? Axel hesitated, then whispered. He wants her as leverage. To force you to confess. Confess to what? Axel slowly raised his eyes. To betraying the Marshals. To betraying him. I stepped back, stunned. This wasn't revenge. This was obsession. A twisted rewrite of the past. Dawson believed I left him to die. He believed I stabbed him in the back. He believed I stole his career and his life. And now he wanted to take mine. Not by killing me, but by ripping away the only person I cared about. The hunt begins. I grabbed my gear bag, slammed the garage door shut, and ran to my truck. As I turned the ignition, my hands shook, not from fear, but from a terrifying clarity. Dawson knew me, better than anyone alive. He knew how I thought, how I tracked, how I hunted. This wouldn't be a chase. This would be a chess match. And he already had the first move. But he forgot one thing. I'm not the same man he remembers. I'm worse. The engine roared to life. I floored it toward County Road 6. Toward the farmhouse. Toward the first trap. Toward the man I once called brother. The man who had my wife. I reached County Road 6 in 17 minutes. Empty farmland. Dead fields. Miles of flat nothing. Perfect place for a disappearing act. The farmhouse appeared out of the dark like a ghost. A gray skeleton of rotting wood, leaning to one side. Windows missing, roof collapsing. I stopped the truck a quarter-mile away, killed the engine, and approached through the fields. The silence. Wrong. Too still. Too intentional. A staged silence. A Dawson silence. The first sign. 50 feet from the house, the smell hit me. Bleach. Disinfectant. Fresh. Someone cleaned this area recently. Inside an abandoned building? No. They cleaned evidence. I reached the front porch, boots silent on the dusty boards. The front door was slightly open, an invitation. Dawson always loved theatrics. I pushed it open. The interior was stripped bare, except for one thing. A single metal chair in the center of the room. A spotlight shining on it. And tied to the chair, Gary, HOA president. Sweating. Pale. Terrified. His mouth duct-taped. His hands zip-tied behind his back. His ankles strapped to the legs of the chair. He wasn't expecting me. He was expecting Dawson. The trap. I circled the room slowly. No tripwires. No bombs. No triggers. Nothing explosive. Which meant the trap wasn't physical. It was psychological. Dawson wanted me to interrogate Gary. Wanted me to hear things. Wanted me to crack. Gary shook violently when he saw me, eyes wide, screaming under the tape. I ripped it off. He gasped, coughing. Please. Please, I didn't want any of this. I grabbed his face. Where is my wife? He shook his head frantically. I don't know where she is now. I swear. Dawson took her from us 2 hours ago. Why? Gary's lips trembled. He said, she's the only leverage that can control you. The HOA secret. I forced him to look at me. How long has Dawson been using the HOA? Gary started crying. He came to us 8 months ago. Said he had dirt on every board member. Said we'd follow orders, or he'd burn our entire lives down. What did he have on you? Gary's voice cracked. My business. My family. My taxes. Everything. I stepped closer. And what did he make you do? Gary swallowed. He made us identify vulnerable families. Ones with resources, ones who wouldn't go to the police. My stomach tightened. You were selecting victims. Gary sobbed harder. He told us who to find, who to pressure, who to isolate. Then the bikers would step in. For collection. And my wife? I asked. Gary froze. Tears streaming. Dawson specifically requested her. Said she was the only one who mattered. Why? What made her special? I needed answers. The real trap springs. Before Gary could speak again, the front door slammed shut. Hard. I spun, gun up. No one there. Then a single phone on the floor lit up. Not mine. Not Gary's. A burner. Left there purposely. A call was incoming. Unknown. Location masked. I picked it up, thumb hovering. Gary started sobbing uncontrollably. Don't answer it. Please, don't answer. I answered. Static first. Then a voice I hadn't heard in 8 years. Smooth. Calm. Confident. Hello, partner. I froze. Dawson. You're getting close, he said. Too close. Where is my wife? Oh, she's alive, he said casually. Afraid. Crying. But alive. My grip tightened so hard the burner creaked. What do you want? To finish the story you abandoned, Dawson said. To finish the chapter where you ran. I didn't run, I said through clenched teeth. History disagrees, he replied. And so does she. My blood turned to ice. What did you tell her? Dawson laughed softly. Everything. I swallowed. Hard. What? Did you tell her? That you betrayed me, he said. That you left me to die? That you traded my life for your career? That's a lie. But she doesn't know that, Dawson said. She's questioning everything right now. My stomach dropped. No, no, no. He was poisoning her against me, turning her mind against me before I even reached her. She won't believe you, I said. He chuckled. They always believe the man crying on the floor with scars. I showed her what they did to me. I showed her the files. Your signature. My signature was forged. I know that. His voice dropped colder than ice. But she doesn't. I felt the world tilt. He wasn't just kidnapping her physically. He was changing her emotionally. Rewriting me. Erasing me. Turning her into something breakable. Someone who wouldn't fight back. Someone who would give up hope. The message from her. Dawson continued. She left you a message. My heart stopped. What message? He hummed. Gentle. Mocking. I'll play it. A second of static. Then her voice. Shaking. Crying. Barely able to breathe. Please, if you hear this. I don't know what's true anymore. I don't know who to trust. But they're saying you left someone behind. That you let him die. No, I whispered. No, baby, no. They said you ran to save yourself. If that's true, if everything I believed was wrong, please just tell me. The recording cut. And then Dawson's voice returned. She's breaking, partner. And when she finally shatters, I'm going to put the pieces wherever I want. My rage cut through my chest like a blade. You're dead, I whispered. No, Dawson replied calmly. You are. Click. Call ended. The last clue. The phone buzzed again. A text this time. Follow the light. She's running out of time. A GPS coordinate. One I recognized. The old canyon. Where Dawson died. Where everything began. My wife was being taken there. I ran for the truck. This wasn't just a hunt anymore. This was a resurrection. And Dawson wasn't just alive. He was waiting. I expected the HOA board to crumble the moment the FBI raided their clubhouse. I expected the Hells Angels to scatter after watching half their leadership get dragged away in cuffs. I expected the town to breathe again. But corruption this deep doesn't die quietly. It screams. It claws. It tries to take you down with it. And I wasn't about to let that happen. Not after what they did to my wife. 1. The return to normal? Yeah, right. The first week after the takedowns was almost peaceful. The neighborhood finally felt human again. People watered lawns without fear. Kids rode bikes again. Doors stayed open. But every morning, like clockwork, I found something at the edge of my lawn. A single cigarette butt. Same brand the enforcer smoked. Same crooked tap on the filter. Same burn mark. A warning. We're still here. I kept it quiet. No reason to scare my wife again. She was finally sleeping without jolting awake, gasping, sweating, whispering. They tried to take me. That alone was enough fuel for me to burn the entire organization to the ground. 2. The incident at the grocery store. It happened on a Tuesday. My wife had gone to buy right for some groceries. Normal trip. Middle of the day. Crowded place. Safe. She called me from the parking lot. Her voice was shaking. They followed me again. I was out the door before she finished the sentence. I found her leaning against our truck, hands trembling. And across the parking lot, sitting on 2 Harleys, were 2 men in black denim cuts. No colors, no rocker. But the vibe? Unmistakable. Hell's Angels don't always wear the patch when they want to send a message. Sometimes they just show up. Silent. Watching. Waiting. The moment they saw me walking toward them, they smirked. Then burned out of the lot, tires screaming against asphalt. They wanted to remind me. The game isn't over. 3. Trail of corruption. I went back to the FBI office that night. I wasn't asking permission. I was telling them. I'm going after the rest. The agent in charge, Daniels, sighed. You got half the chapter locked up already. Let local law finish the job. I leaned forward. They sent men after my wife. Again. This isn't over until I make sure they can never touch anyone in this town. Daniels finally slid a file across the table. Thick. Unredacted. Fresh. You didn't get this from me. Inside. Names. Addresses. Financial routes. Dirty board members who hadn't been arrested yet. The biker chapter's money man. A warehouse they used for meetings, code for weapon storage. It was an entire map of corruption. A treasure chest of the people who thought they escaped justice. And with that, I was back in the hunt. 4. The last board member standing. Her name was Linda Fallon, VP of the HOA. The real snake. The one who mediated the land deals. The one who communicated with the biker chapter. The one who signed the IOUs for enforcement favors. She'd vanished during the raids. No address. No sightings. Gone. Until she made a mistake. She used her HOA card at a gas station 30 minutes north of town. From there, traffic cams picked her up. Then highway cams. Then a side road plate reader. She was running. Good. I like to chase. I followed the trail deep into old mining country. Sparse homes. Empty land. Dirt roads winding between dead hills. Then I saw it. An old cabin with a beat-up sedan parked outside. The same plate from the cameras. And as I approached, I saw something else. 2 bikes. Hell's Angels. Of course. 5. The final showdown. I slipped around the cabin, sticking to tree lines, moving slow. Inside, voices. 3 men. 1 woman. Arguing. You said he was done. Marshal or not. He's still just 1 man. Your screw-up cost us everything. Then, they tried to take my wife. I whispered. Now I take everything. The back door was flimsy. 1 kick. Gone. The room froze. Linda screamed. The bikers grabbed for weapons. I moved first. A table flipped. 1 man slammed into the wall. The other lunged. He swung. I ducked. Elbow. Knee. Floor. Linda tried to run. I caught her by the coat. Pulled her back like she weighed nothing. You don't get to walk away, I said. By the time Daniels arrived with agents, the cabin was secured. Everyone was in cuffs. Weapons seized. Documents recovered. Money trails confirmed. The last chain in the network. Broken. 6. Peace at last. A month later, my wife and I stood on our porch, watching the sunset. For once, the air felt light. Quiet. Safe. She leaned her head on my shoulder. You think it's finally over? I wrapped an arm around her. It's over, I said. Because as long as I'm breathing, nobody touches my family. The HOA was gone. The biker chapter dismantled. The land grab buried. The corruption purged. And for the first time in years, we finally lived free.